Married at First Sight, Season 16, Episode 8. Now that the marriages are like a busted carburetor and half of the couples barely like each other, Pastor Cal comes rolling into town 7 days late, guns blazing, trying to save the day. By the way, I released this video, Married at First Sight, Top 10 Worst Husbands. Please do me a huge favor and check it out if you haven't already. It's sponsored, and I promised them that you would be clamoring to click in and watch it. Thank you so very much for your support. I really appreciate you. Now, let's get into this episode. Can we talk about Chris's wild-ass dog in heat? Poor thing, just going to Bone Town on the pillows, couch, and probably half the camera crew and production staff. How Nicole looked at his dog humping a pillow and turned it into, "This must mean my husband is good in bed." Girl, wishful thinking. It didn't learn those moves from your husband. Your husband hasn't had sex in over a year, and it sounds like she only let him hit it once or twice back then. If anything, your hubby is getting his moves from the dog. When he said those big dogs sleep in his bed, I had a flashback to their honeymoon when he said he only washes his sheets once a month. This is why there is no such thing as smell-o-vision. And that renewing their leases conversation was very one-sided. Chris's proposal to sign a 9-month lease, it didn't sound like he entered this believing he would want to stay married to the person they matched him with. Well, now that I think about it, the odds were in favor of having a disastrous marriage. So, okay, I'll give him that. But being that they're doing good so far, why not plan to go temporarily month to month? I just hope Nicole doesn't set herself up to not have a voice in this marriage. So far, for the 2 roadblocks they've encountered, Nicole has been the one to take the hit and endure the chunk of the compromises. They seem to be painting the picture that Chris may be a nice guy, but not necessarily a good guy. But due to how they edit this show, I'm going to go ahead and give him the benefit of the doubt for now. But Chris, you have 2 strikes, 1 more, you're out. During the Pastor Cal visit, Nicole said she asked Chris every day that if decision day was today, what would you say? When Pastor Cal told her that it wasn't a good idea to ask him that because if they're having a bad day, that question could make it worse. Then to the confessional cam, she was like, "Oh, whatever, Pastor Cal, I'm going to keep doing it." I died. It just goes to show you that inserting the experts in their marriages so late has caused the cast to not respect their advice. Because when he was telling her not to do it, she was taking it in and like nodding in agreement, like, yeah, okay. But clearly her nod meant, yeah, sure, I'm not going to do that, Pastor Cal. So Pastor Cal asked Chris if he's ever seen her blow up, and Chris said no. Then Nicole was like, "Oh yeah, you did." Then they flashed back to her yelling at the camera over their wedding picture. Personally, I didn't see that as a blow up. She wasn't in anyone's face. She was just venting about a stupid picture not being flattering. I actually thought it was kind of funny. I don't know. I think Nicole is funny for some reason, and I don't even think she's trying to be funny. So they've admitted to consummating their marriage, which is not a surprise. I bet when they were doing it, though, his dog was in the corner humping a lamp or an ashtray somewhere. I still feel like they have the best chance of making it long-term based on Nicole's ability to compromise. She seems like a loving person who's just been through a lot and deserves a break when it comes to finding her forever person. Now, moving on to Mac and Dom. Simply put, these 2 are not compatible. Before going to Dom's apartment, he stood outside saying that he feels like the loser who lives in the basement. You kind of had to know that there was a chance that your new wife wouldn't be pumped about you living in your friend's parents' basement, though. Even if you only moved to Nashville to do the show, she's going to want to feel like you're putting down roots there and plan to stay. Even if you'd gotten an apartment and borrowed your friend's parents' furniture from their basement, that would have been a better look and less risky of her having a problem with your living situation. When he was walking around her apartment, he definitely felt some type of way, but he acted out instead of speaking out. Now, on the other hand, her disappointment of him not doing cartwheels over her 1-bedroom apartment was a bit much. Her apartment was cute or whatever, but just because he's living in a basement doesn't mean he normally lives in a cardboard box and has never seen the inside of an apartment before. And let's not forget, the basement is attached to a house. He currently lives in a house. I mean, it's not his house, but it is a house. But it felt like she was trying to flex, though. Like, look at all this I have going on, and you're not even excited. I know you can see yourself living here. And he was like, meh, we'll see. Girl, your place isn't big enough for 2 adults and some dogs you could care less about. Speaking of his dogs, their argument about her not asking or caring about his dogs was not about the dogs. I feel like he's hurt because she's not getting to know him and is judging him according to his living situation and corny jokes instead. So when he was complaining that she's not asking to see pictures of his dogs or asking what their names are, he's really talking about himself. She's not asking him the right questions to get to know him. But Miss Old Soul over there didn't pick up on that and was irritated that he kept the argument going about his dogs and said, "Are we really having an argument about your dogs?" No, you're not. And she keeps accusing him of being negative and having negative energy. Hold on, Judge Judy. You are constantly airing your grievances to this man. You think that's positive kumbaya namaste energy? He may complain about not wanting to do things like you like to do, but he doesn't pick apart your personality like you do him. By the way, have you asked him what he enjoys and offered to do some of those things? When they met with Pastor Cal, they had this attitude like they're about to put him in the hot seat, like, you got some explaining to do, Pastor Cal. And Pastor Cal called her out. "You look like you're about to go to battle, all closed off over there. What's wrong with you?" Okay, he didn't say it exactly like that. So she proceeds to go through their list of things they asked for in a spouse that they didn't get, sounding like she was talking to Domino's after they messed up her pizza order. "I ordered a man who is established, rich, and outgoing with the side of worships the ground I walk on. Instead, you gave me a corny marijuana dealer who lives in his friend's parents' basement. I want a refund." One thing I will say in her defense is that this show loves pairing women who need security with a man who's living in a basement or living in his truck or has no job. At this point, I feel like they are both done with the situation and are only there to avoid breaking their contract. Speaking of done, Gina is done with Chuck Norris. When Gina was telling Chuck that she didn't want to move in with him, I was proud of him for reminding Gina that they took vows and they agreed to work through challenges to see if they can make things work. And Gina's saying she's feeling forced to move into the apartment. Are you kidding me? The entire show is based on being forced. They force you to marry the stranger they pick for you. They force you to get married on the date they choose. They force you to navigate your train wreck of a marriage on camera. You feel forced? You signed up for force, boo-boo. Then Chuck Norris trying to clean up his slender and athletic comment to saying he normally dates real athletes. Come on now. Like who? Nadia Comaneci, Billie Jean King, Simone Biles. Chuck, you're not out there dating Olympians. You like women who are petite and muscular or whatever, and that's okay. It's your bad for not knowing that that's what your wife sees when she looks in the mirror. And Gina was fighting it too, boys. She's like, "I go to the gym and I can hang with you in the weight room. I am an athlete, damn it." I think she feels like he's fat shaming her, which he's not. There are a few categories between athletic and fat. I'm wondering if she's had a big weight problem in the past and this is a sticky topic for her or something, because she feels a little too offended and defensive to me. Now, I loved how Pastor Cal called Gina out about not wanting to stay in the apartment. He was like, "Let's call it what it is. You're bugging out because you don't like a man with red hair, and you're offended that he doesn't see you as a professional athlete. Do you want to make this work, or do you want to divorce him in his hairy chest?" Okay, I may have rephrased what he said a little bit. That may not have been his exact words, but that's how I interpreted what he said. So Gina's not going to move in. Chuck may as well go home too. They live in the same building. They'll probably see each other more there than if he stayed in this shared apartment. They both seem to want to keep trying to work on the marriage for the wrong reasons. They want to work on it because they're not quitters instead of because they like each other. Now, Airris and Jasmine. First of all, her crowns are everything. This woman has all these beautiful crowns but doesn't carry herself like a queen. She's humble, but maybe a little too humble, which is why Airris is walking all over her. He's behaving more like a queen than she is. Okay, wait, that didn't come out right. Like, he's letting his standards be known, where she seems to bow to his standards instead of throwing her own on the throne. What about when Airris was holding one of the dogs? Jess said, "Looks like he's falling asleep." Airris said, "I'm a natural. That's what I do." Okay, that joke just writes itself. Like even the dog was bored. When they met with Pastor Cal, he was saying Airris might be feeling like he's not vibing with Jasmine because of how hard the process is. And many people have a problem with a lot of people telling them what to do, like production does. I keep saying that Airris looks overwhelmed, not because he has people telling him what to do, but because he doesn't have relationship experience. So he's out of his comfort zone trying to build one, and on national TV. It's too much for him. So Jasmine was saying that she wants him to want to rip off her clothes. Girl, keep your jean shorts on. Save it for the next dude because he ain't it. Shaq went to Kirsten's apartment. How about his response to her so-called minimalist apartment? She said, "It's just enough." And he said, "I don't know if it's just enough." I was rocking with her calling herself a minimalist until they went into her cluttered closet. I was like, oh, that's where she keeps all her stuff. Half of her belongings are in her closet. Kirsten, if you don't go buy yourself a dresser and some side tables, you better stop playing. Overall, they seem to be getting along and vibing, but she told Pastor Cal that there's no chemistry there. Even at the group dinner on the honeymoon, she said they were practically the same person. That sounds like hella chemistry to me. I think maybe she mistook the word chemistry for attraction or something. Pastor Cal was telling them that they have potential to be a power couple. Even Shaq didn't seem to believe that statement. When Kirsten was saying that it normally takes a while for her to open up, it's frustrated me because that just tells me this is not the show for you, boo. I think if Kirsten sticks around to the end, she'll learn a lot about herself that will help her out for the next guy, but as far as this marriage, it's a wrap. The way these matches have been going the last 3, 4, 8 seasons, they really need to have the experts on the honeymoon with them to help the couples understand why they were matched. Give them some healthy icebreaker type assignments and maybe even do some spouse swapping. Many of you in the comments have said they should have paired Shaq with Jasmine. Okay, let's see it. Swap them out. We got nothing to lose here. Well, that's all I got. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in my next video.